We all know you're washed up. You're a hard-stuck diamond who drags games out for content.
Dude, some people are actually hilarious.
Just end you piss level. I am jungle you 7.
Dude, some people are just the best. Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is KingStix. Super excited to show you this game. I decided to go for free boots instead of sorcery tree because I know we need to win this game early. Speaking of winning it early, their Lilia decided that she was going to win the game before it had really even started, and unfortunately for her, we have a Volibear support, so she gets stunned out and killed. I didn't get the first blood, 𝐒𝐿𝐿 got it, which is probably for the best, so that way he doesn't feed to the Renekton. His match history is pretty spotty, and it would be really bad if Renekton was killing him solo. Since Renekton has TP and 𝐒𝐿𝐿 doesn't, Renekton could really influence the map. I've been running sorcery. I like to run sorcery a lot when I feel like we can win the mid or late game anyways. In this particular game, since we have an 𝐒𝐿𝐿 which falls off, a Lucian which falls off, and Volibear which falls off, plus it's a Volibear support, I kind of knew we were going to lose late game, especially since the enemy team has a Morgana, which is really tough late game, a 𝐒𝐿𝐿. They have lots of tools to kind of deal with our comp and make things very difficult. Going for free boots on Evelynn in this case is much better. That way you can get a faster ramp up and try to end the game before the 30-minute mark. I go ahead and take my blue and Gromp at the same time. It's risky if the enemy jungler is an aggro early jungle who wants to kill you, like an Udyr, Warwick, Lee Sin, Graves, that type of thing. But with Lilia, you never really have to worry about that since her early damage is fairly low and her clear speeds are slow enough to where none of her optimal paths really involve around invading the enemy jungler. While finishing up my camps and going for Scuttle Crab, I see Renekton is fairly low on HP. Going for Scuttle here was easy. I had mid prio and top prio. Even if I do see Lilia and she has more HP than me, I can just stall it out and then wait for my laners to rotate. I saw Lilia mid and Renekton never bothered to back. He's being greedy for the wave, so I decided to dive and run up behind him, drop my W, run him down, land Q, E, and run out. If Evelynn is pre-6, she can still tank the turret as long as she has high HP, since her E does give her a massive movement speed bonus. So in this case, it's fine for 𝐒𝐿𝐿 to let me take. it's actually fine for 𝐒𝐿𝐿 to let me take turret first. We opted for, since we already have free boots, we're not going to pick up an early boots of speed. Instead, we can focus on building towards our jungle item and picking up a early dark seal since we are decently far ahead. As I worried, I figured our bot lane might struggle since they have the Morgana Black Shield for the volley stun, and 𝐒𝐿𝐿 isn't an easy matchup for Lucian unless Lucian can go for all ins. So I know that once I am level 6, I'm going to have to apply some kind of pressure to bot lane, or this game could easily spiral out of control. Pre-6 though on Evelynn, ganking Morgana is usually pretty shitty, because if she lands Snare on you, the gank's botched, or if she just Black Shields whoever you charm, the gank is also botched. So typically, we want to try to avoid that lane until level 6. At the end of our second full clear, I'm nearly level 6, so I'm trying to wait for 𝐒𝐿𝐿 to finish killing the minions so I can hit my level 6. Even though this bush is warded, there's a good chance Renekton noobs out and thinks that I leave, so I head up for a top brush to try to get in behind him. Since Renekton is behind, he's likely to make mistakes and be greedy, desperately trying to gain a foothold in this game. Even if you are playing against diamond players and up, it's very common to see people make mistakes, particularly when they're behind, trying to get back into this game. 𝐒𝐿𝐿's shoving it really hard, so I'm just waiting for him to dump the wave. Renekton will try to catch it once it starts hitting the turret. I don't have blue smite, but I'm just waiting for Renekton to go in for a minion. I drop my W and start running him down. 𝐒𝐿𝐿 honestly went in a lot earlier than I wanted him to. It's best to usually wait until Evelynn's charm is ready to proc, because when 𝐒𝐿𝐿 went in, I was basically forced not to attack Renekton, otherwise I'd be botching my charm proc. So it's just really inoptimal, and I kind of wish we never went for it. So now I'm just going to have to back off. I end up having to flash away from the Renekton. I get his flash as well. But now I can heal up and kind of use my passive like a Garen passive. Most people don't expect it, so I'm going to chill on the outside, use my Oracle lens so I can kind of see what's in the bush before entering it without them knowing that I'm doing that, because obviously if you lay a ward in the bush, they'll know. Get my charm on the Lilia. I don't have quite the damage to finish her off. If I was a bit more fed, then I would have chunked her, but all in all, really good trade. I got a kill and an assist, and the 𝐒𝐿𝐿 got off an awesome kill from the roam. The game is still very close though. We are 6 kills to their 5, so I'm going to have to play really tight. Otherwise, like we talked about with this particular game with the team comps, we could easily lose this. Like I said, once we're level 6, we can start to pressure the Morgana lane. Plushie's dead. I'm going to run in behind the 𝐒𝐿𝐿, blue smiter, charm, and pick up the kill. Luckily, Volibear didn't die there because this game is getting closer and closer by the minute. Lilia is actually a bad matchup for Evelynn if her team is ahead. If Lily's team is ahead, she can kind of sit back, wait to land one single ability on you, normally her long-ranged roll ability, and then she'll press R and you're guaranteed dead. It's just not optimal for her team to start building a lead on mine. I'm waiting to fly trap Morgana. She walks back. She looks like she's going toward the bush, so I try to stay on top of her, hit her with a QE. I don't even bother using my W at first since I figured she was going to black shield and we pick up the kill. We then drop the charm on the Lilia. She's moving a little bit too fast though, so I'm trying to kind of find my spacing. Caitlyn ends up walking in towards the turret. Volibear is low. We pick up the kill on her. Unfortunately, Volibear does get the gold, which really does suck since I blew my R, plus obviously Volibear support having gold doesn't really do our team much good. Zed gets a double kill. 𝐒𝐿𝐈 comes in for the pick. I'm still full HP, so I want to route this Lilia. Morgana is going to be back to lane very soon since I did just pick her though, so I do have to mind my spacing. After getting the kill on Lilia, I just want to get the heck out of here. If I still had my R, I would try to fly trap the Morgana, but without my R, it's not really worth it. Going for Dragon at this point would be good if 𝐒𝐿𝐈 wasn't backing. Plus, they have a pink ward in the area, and I have no R or flash, so if someone does come up like Morgana, I'll have no real way to escape, and I'll potentially be blowing all my Dark Seal stacks, which is the last thing we want to do. To be able to carry my weak late game team, I have to maintain all of my shutdown gold, because if I die, I'll bleed away 1,000 gold. And I need to keep up my Dark Seal and Mej stacks. Going for Mej right now is the best thing we can do since we have a huge lead. Plus our ultimate is going to be up for our next gank, so it's not that risky. As long as I mind who's on the minimap, we can pick up another sweep for Mejia stacks. I see Zed is mid lane, so the threat of him killing me is low, if any. I want to get in the top bush to get in behind the Renekton, land my W, run up behind him, use my blue smite, use my E to connect the charm for free, stay on top of him with my Qs, and we pick up the kill while holding onto our R, which is huge. If you can hold on to your R, especially if you have Dark Seal or Mej stacks, it's super advantageous. That way, if you are out of position, you can always just R away, or I can come in for another kill on Renekton once he spawns in. Lily is trying to defend the turret, foolishly I might say. Since she didn't know if me or Wukong used our R in that top lane fight, it wasn't worth it for her. If she knew for a fact that my R and Wukong R was down, it would have been fine. But even then, it's just super risky. There's really nothing to gain from going up there. She'd be much better off playing around her bot lane for the massive CC. You might be wondering, why did I go Sorc Shoes this game if they do have triple AD with the Caitlyn, Renekton, and Zed? The main reason I still went for Sorc Shoes is because they have a lot of squishies as is. In fact, their whole team is squishy. They don't have a single tank. Their closest thing to a tank is Renekton, but he's just a bruiser. So Sorc Shoes gives us a lot of value. Plus, going for something like Tabbies against their triple AD isn't that great since they do have 2 AP champs with a lot of CC. To where going Merc Treads or Tabbies would still have massive downsides in this particular game, to where Sorc Shoes just by default becomes better. I need more information on the minimap until I go in here. I do see Lilia's mid lane, but I didn't see where Zed was initially, so I waited until I saw Zed as well, and then I knew it was safe to go in. We pick up the kill on Morgana, and then we end up pushing away the Caitlyn. I can always just run up behind the turret though and kill the Caitlyn. Even though my R's on cooldown and I don't have flash, I'm not too worried since Morgana just spawned in. There's going to be no one here to help the Caitlyn. I run straight forward while they have vision of me with the minion towards this bush, as if I'm going to recall there. That's actually going to come into play here in a second. It's going to bait out the enemies to waste some of their spells, and I do still have my R. So now she doesn't think I'm in the bush when I'm really just here. If Morgana had roamed mid or would have been a little late out of fountain, that would have been a pick on the Lilia. It's all right though, because our ultimate is up and we can make a play on her, kill her on her blue buff, or take Dragon. I decided to go for Dragon at this point since I know our late game is going to be rough. I kind of just want to start building towards that late game, and pressuring her blue buff when they're all starting to go missing, including the Zed, isn't ideal. And as you can see, Zed did just leave the blue buff area and is now back in the mid lane, so I think he was puppy guarding that. Lilia lingered on her blue side jungle, so I rushed over to her red side jungle to clear it out and then wait for her. My Volibear picked up on the signal and he's heading over as well. And then I do see Lilia before I go for her golems. Good stun by the Volibear. I land my slow, get off a bit of damage. Lilia tries to flash away and escape, but we do end up picking her off. And now we are at an immaculate 25 Mejia stacks. It's at this point in the game as Evelynn, you have complete control over who wins and loses unless someone on your team AFKs. You have so much free damage. You can optimize into a Rabadon. You could pick up a tanky item like Dead Man's Plate to prowl the map better and survive. You just have so many options. The Mejia really opens it up for you to kind of just build whatever you want. I will say I've been disappointed with building Banshee's Veil and Evelynn lately. I feel like Banshee's Veil, for how much value it adds, it's rarely worth building. The only times I'll ever really do it is if their team is super AP heavy and they have things like Annie that can instantly stun you out. Otherwise, it's just not worth it since it doesn't actually give you any HP or movement speed. The enemy team is stacking a bunch of magic resist, so I decided to go for a void staff to ensure I can one-shot any of them without even needing to use my W. In fact, I don't even max my W second since their whole team is squishy. There's really no point. I'm going to set here on a choke point if any of them go for the bot lane wave, or if any of them cross over for a jungle camp or to defend the second mid turret. I can easily choke them out. Since I have ult and flash, this is especially safe. Worst case scenario, if someone walks into me, even if I have late reaction time, I can ult away. I put the charm on Zed, making them think I'm coming from the front since Zed was the furthest up in the front, and he pulls back. I land the damage on him. Morgana forces out my R with hers. I got her low enough with my secondary Qs to finish her off. Absolutely cut her in half. She's the only one on their team who doesn't have any magic resist yet because she's trying to get an hourglass. So she really felt the sting of our Sork Shoes and Void Staff plus the 25 Mej. I'm back up to full HP. Still have my flash. There's only so much we can do while they're under their turret though. Plus Dragon's about to come up. So I don't want to force anything too drastic. Only if it is free. 𝐒𝐂𝐈𝐀's forcing fight under turret. Volibear wasn't really ready for it. Neither was I, to be honest. It was kind of random. It ends up costing me my flash. And honestly, it probably wasn't worth it. We could have just gone for Dragon and held on to our Herald. Trying to force dives on them while they're under turret whenever my R is on cooldown is far from optimal, especially if our only tank on our team, being Volibear, is below half HP. After that one fight, I took some of their camps. We pick up Dragon. Lucian's trying to farm my camps for whatever reason. I'm not a huge fan of that because he's not going to be able to give any value to this game. He's going to keep getting one shot by the Zed since Zed is really fed. Zed can't really one-shot me because I can just R out, plus I have my armor. It seems like, looking at the Lilia's level throughout this game, it seems like she actually AFK'd somewhere in the mid-game, probably around the 16-minute mark, because she's one of the lowest levels on their team. So I think that may have played into her frustration. Maybe she thinks we intentionally dragged this game out, but I can assure you we did not. There's been a lot of throws and forced plays. If the enemies are under turret with a Morgana ult, Morgana hourglass, Caitlyn traps, Renekton R with a Renekton stun, it's not particularly easy to dive them. On top of the fact that my team is very, very squishy. Our only tank is a support Volibear, which isn't really ideal. So we're actually having to play this game very slow. Our easy win condition is taking Dragon Soul. The only issue is the first dragon we took was fairly late in the game, to where by the time we get our fourth dragon, it'll be pretty much past the 30-minute mark. To where it may seem like we're dragging out the game when in reality we're just waiting for dragons to spawn, because it's better for us to take dragons since my whole team's actually behind except for me than it is for us to try to force plays under turret, because if I get hit by one Morgana snare, that's 1,000 gold for the enemy team when they kill me. So there's just really no rush to end. Even if their late game is slightly stronger, if we have Dragon Soul, we can easily pinch this out. As long as the enemies don't get to a point where they're absolutely full build, they can't really win. So I'm just in no rush. I'm just farming it up, taking their camps as much as possible, not just taking my own. Dragon is coming up soon. My team is really split apart. 𝐒𝐂𝐈𝐀 top, Volibear and base. I'm not quite sure why Wukong wanted to force a fight here. My R is up. It's still not ideal though. Morgana could bind over the side of their base wall to where that would kill me instantly. So I have to R away. And the Wukong Lucian do pick off the Renekton. I think Morgana and Caitlyn decided they didn't want to force a fight since I'm pretty sure they're still playing a man down. So ultimately, it did play out in our favor, but still not a huge fan of that fight. Like I said, all it takes is one Morgana snare. After winning the fight, I'm going to wipe their jungle clean. This should keep them behind, and then I can go for Dragon. By the time we get Dragon Soul, at the soonest, it will be the 30-minute mark since dragons are on a 5-minute spawn timer. After killing this dragon, we're going to have to just keep waiting it out. This is where the thumbnail comes into play. Lilia, very salty, not understanding the win condition, says, You're so washed up, your heart's stuck. She says what she says, right? And I thought it was pretty funny. The funniest thing about it was she said she's beaten me 7 times on her other account, which is a strange statement because if I'm perma-smurfing, when in the world would I ever see him? And if I'm climbing on my main account, since she's a 50% win rate D3 player, when am I ever going to see him either? Even if in theory he has beaten me before, how could I have possibly played against him 7 times? It just doesn't make sense. The only reasonable explanation is this guy is a time traveler and possibly my granddad, so I need to show him respect and put the better jungler out of his misery here. We gotta pick on the Renekton but sacrificed Wukong and Volibear to do so. I have to be patient while Morgana holds onto her snare, so I can't really go in on Caitlyn for the full kill. 𝐒𝐂𝐈𝐀 does sacrifice herself, but she gets the inhibitor. which is pretty solid. I mean, trading her for inhibitor isn't bad since everyone on my team as a whole isn't particularly fed. In fact, you can make the argument the enemy team is more fed than they are. We flash in to kill the Caitlyn. She's going hyper aggro on us. It was really bizarre actually. But if she did get that kill, it could have possibly turned the whole game. And so I'm desperately trying to stay alive so much. Whenever our ultimate is down, I revert to just farming the enemy's jungle. It'll keep the Lilia behind, it'll keep the enemy team behind, and they won't know where I am. So basically, even if I'm not technically applying pressure to them directly, just by me being in their jungle taking camps, and them not knowing where I am does apply pressure, making them think twice before they engage on my teammates or anything like that. This game, I did opt for a Lich Bane instead of a Rabadon, or instead of a Spellbinder, anything like that, since we are pretty far late into the game where we're going to be breaking turrets and inhibitors. Plus, the Lich Bane gives me a much needed movement speed, which is really nice. And enemies are all squishy to where having a Rabadon, that's just me killing the same person 3 times over. Having the Lich Bane, I can kill several people several different times in a short time span since the Lich Bane has a very short cooldown. Once again, Wukong forces another fight. Volibear follows him up. There's really nothing I can do since Morgana is standing on their back line, and she could easily just snare me or ult me. I don't have flash. I don't have any way to get in there. I wasn't behind the enemies to begin with. So now I just have to be patient. I can't wait for a full W proc here. The moment I put her on her, Morgana and Caitlyn will rotate to her. So I have to be able to pick her with just a QE, which won't be easy. I have to basically get right on top of her, kill her instantly before they kill me. Her and Morgana just back, so I'm hoping one of them will run out for the minion wave. So I'm going to try to cut off their pathing. Sure enough, Lilia runs out for the minion wave. I'm going to come in with a fresh QE. I R out. I actually didn't need the R, but it's fine. I'd rather get out of that situation and stay alive. My R is only on a 50-second cooldown since I have a decent amount of CDR. Once again, our win condition is Dragon Soul and chipping away at their inhibs, so there's really no rush for 𝐒𝐂𝐈𝐀𝐋𝐒 to go in there by herself. This game is still very close, and the enemies aren't giving up. It is funny to see their Lilia flaming. I really wish, guys, that I hadn't muted anyone this game and I just left everybody unmuted. But I was really trying to focus, and with my teammates taking my camps at time in our own jungle while I was trying to take them, and with Lilia being annoying, I just had to focus. So at times I was muting and unmuting people depending on the flow of the game and how hard I needed to focus. But that's my biggest regret, is muting them at all. I think somebody on the enemy team or my team said she wished my account was her account because she randomly said, "I wished I care." I wish that was my account. So I think people are kind of just fed up with her being toxic. With all the random toxic things she said to me, I think it's wearing people out, and I can't imagine how much she must be flaming her own team for every time she's died as well. So I think people in general are kind of just getting annoyed with her. But yeah, just taking the game slow. We do have Dragon Soul, which is huge. If anyone on my team, including myself, uses our R, we have like 50% movement speed for 6 seconds, which is massive. Makes it really hard for the enemies to get away or for them to chase us down. I go in for the Caitlyn. She has a Maw. I get off as much damage as I can. I go back into the fight, pick off the Morgana, and the fight is ours. This is our first officially won team fight in the late game. We've struggled in team fights thus far. Dragon OP win condition. But regardless, guys, I hope you did enjoy this Evelynn jungle commentary guide. The climb to Challenger does continue. We are currently Platinum 4 with roughly a 90% win rate, all solo queue, playing mostly Evelynn and then a few other champions here and there. Our MMR is somewhere around mid diamond though. We are currently playing against D2s and D3 players. If you guys haven't had the chance to check out the second channel, go ahead and give it a look. I'll leave a link down in the description and pinned comment below. We upload daily League of Legends content over there. And if you haven't had a chance to come check out the stream, we stream 5 days a week live on Twitch TV. I'll be leaving a link down below for that as well. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is KingStix. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.